Hi, my name is Ned, and you can see in very large words behind me, I'm going to be talking about Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. Basically, this is the book that should be chosen. It's funny, it's intelligent, it's engaging and entertaining, and it's thought-provoking. All the things that you want in a good book, and all the things that you want in a good book chosen for the Trend Meets program. In this book, Gladwell's talking about success, as you just heard, and he's talking about a redefinition of how we think about success, of how and why people become successful. Particularly, Gladwell stresses the importance of social context and of the social structures that we have in place in terms of developing people and making people more successful or more likely to be successful. The best way to illustrate that is using an example that Gladwell himself uses right at the beginning of the book, and that's hockey. I think something that resonates with everybody in this room. Gladwell looks at rosters for hockey players, and one of the things that he notices is that most hockey players are born in January, February, or March, the first 3 months of the year, far more than you'd expect for it to just be a random occurrence. He looks at that and he wonders why, and his argument is that the structure and system that we have in place has allowed people born in the earlier part of the year to become more successful at hockey. The reason behind it is this. When you're young, you're placed in age brackets by hockey. Age brackets that begin January 1st and end on December 31st. And 8 months at a young age is a very important difference, an important difference in growth and in physical maturity. And that physical maturity shows itself on the ice and shows itself in the ability of the players. When you start to have that kind of difference, it begins to be mistaken for talent, and those players are given more ice time, given more training and more specialization. The older they get, the better they get, and it becomes sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy, where the players who are born in those first 3 months, not that they're the only ones, Sidney Crosby was born in August, but they are the ones that predominantly become more successful. Wayne Gretzky was born January 26th. This is different from how we normally think of success. When we think about Bill Gates, we think that his own effort, his own genius, is what got him the wealth and success that he enjoys today. But Gladwell actually specifically attacks Bill Gates and says that isn't the case. It's not that he isn't a genius, it's not that he doesn't have talent, but he's also incredibly lucky to be born in the year he is born in. As opposed to being deterministic or pessimistic, this is an incredibly optimistic thing. Gladwell has asked us to look at these structures and rethink them. He's asked us to examine the society we're in and maybe try and make some change. That's perfect for university students. We're coming in here, we're looking to redefine ourselves, we're looking to change the world we're going to be participating in more fully very, very soon. It's important to think about the underlying structures of our society and the underlying structures of things that make us who we are. This is something that speaks to everybody. It doesn't matter if you're in English or in history. Any discipline, any culture can appreciate success and can appreciate thinking about those things and talking about them. But Gladwell's more than just new ideas. He's also really entertaining and really clear. He tells stories about plane crashes and immigrant experiences, everything and anything you could want. He pulls you in, wanting more in each chapter, leaving you hungry at the end of each point. One of the things that happened when I finished this book is I put it down and I went and talked to people about it because I wanted to. And one of the things that stuck with me that I'd like to share with you, just to show the intensity and interest of the book, is the reason why manhole covers are round, which is something I didn't know. Something I'm willing to bet none of you know either. You don't think about those sorts of things, but Gladwell does. And when you think about it, it starts to make sense. Square manhole covers, if you were to turn them sideways, would fall down the manhole. A round cover, no matter how you twist and turn it, will never fall down the opening it covers. It makes perfect sense, and so does everything else that Gladwell talks about. The most important thing about this book is that it makes you think, and it makes you want to discuss. It makes you want to think about success, and it makes you want to think about the world we live in, and it makes you want to talk to other people about that and get those ideas. The best example of this is to leave you guys with a question, I suppose. Are we slaves to our ethnic and cultural history? Are we defined by cultural legacies that we have no idea about? Is the fact that my ancestors 200 years ago were in prison, does that reflect my behavior now, and am I going to do things and behave in certain ways because of it? Gladwell says yes. He integrally determines that our successes and who we are is connected to those sorts of things. And if you disagree, you should read the book.
You can't buy your way into Major Junior A hockey. It doesn't matter who your father or mother is, or who your grandfather was, or what business your family is in. Nor does it matter if you live in the most remote corner of the most northerly province in Canada. If you have ability, the vast network of hockey scouts and talent spotters will find you. And if you are willing to work to develop that ability, the system will reward you. Success in hockey is based on individual merit. And both of those words are important. Players are judged on their own performance, not on anyone else's, and on the basis of their ability, not on some other arbitrary fact. Or are they? This is a book about outliers, about men and women who do things that are out of the ordinary. Over the course of the chapters ahead, I'm going to introduce you to one kind of outlier after another. To geniuses, business tycoons, rock stars, and software programmers. We're going to uncover the secrets of a remarkable lawyer, look at what separates the very best pilots from pilots who have crashed planes, and try to figure out why Asians are so good at math. And in examining the lives of the remarkable among us, the skilled, the talented, and the driven, I will argue that there is something profoundly wrong with the way we make sense of success. In Outliers, I want to convince you that these kinds of personal explanations of success don't work. People don't rise from nothing. We do owe something to parentage and patronage. The people who stand before kings may look like they did it all by themselves, but in fact they are invariably the beneficiaries of hidden advantages and extraordinary opportunities, and cultural legacies that allow them to learn and work hard and make sense of the world in ways others cannot. It makes a difference where and when we grow up. The culture we belong to and the legacies passed down by our forebears shape the pattern of our achievement in ways we cannot begin to imagine. It's not enough to ask what successful people are like, in other words. It is only by asking where they are from that we can unravel the logic behind who succeeds and who doesn't. I'm just going to read you a little bit about the explanation of why Asian children tend to do better in math than North Americans. There's a big difference in how number naming systems in Western and Asian languages are constructed. In English, we say 14, 16, 17, 18, and 19. So one might expect that we would also say 1 teen, 2 teen, 3 teen, and 5 teen, but we don't. We use a different form, 11, 12, 13, and 15. Similarly, we have 40 and 60, which sound like the words they are related to, 4 and 6. But we also say 50 and 30 and 20, which sort of sound like 5 and 3 and 2, but not really. And for that matter, for numbers above 20, we put the decades first and the unit number second, 21, 22. Whereas for the teens, we do it the other way around, 14, 17, 18. The number system in English is highly irregular. The number system, not so in China, Japan, and Korea. They have a logical counting system. 11 is 10-1. 12 is 10-2. 24 is 2 10s 4. And so on. The Asian system is transparent, says Karen Fuson, a Northwestern University psychologist who has closely studied Asian-Western differences. I think that it makes the whole attitude toward math different. Instead of being a rote learning thing, there's a pattern I can figure out. There's an expectation that I can do this. There's an expectation that it's sensible. For fractions, we say 3/5. The Chinese is literally out of 5 parts. Take 3. That's telling you conceptually what a fraction is. It's differentiating the denominator and the numerator. The much-storied disenchantment with mathematics among Western children starts in the 3rd and 4th grades, and Fuson argues that perhaps a part of that disenchantment is due to the fact that math doesn't seem to make sense. Its linguistic structure is clumsy. Its basic rules seem arbitrary and complicated. I teach stats, I understand. Asian children, by contrast, don't feel nearly that same bafflement. They can hold more numbers in their heads and do calculations faster, and the way fractions are expressed in their languages corresponds exactly to the way a fraction actually is. And maybe that makes them a little more likely to enjoy math, and maybe because they enjoy math a little more, they try a little harder and take more math classes, and are more willing to do their homework and on in a kind of virtuous cycle. When it comes to math, in other words, Asians have a built-in advantage.